It is game day in Milwaukee, and the Bucks faced a must-win game against the Hawks to keep any play-in hopes alive.
You are Locked On Bucks, your daily Milwaukee Bucks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What it do, y'all? Welcome to a bonus episode of Locked On Bucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the industry, your team every day. I'm Camille Davis, an NBA analyst with the Locked On Network and co-host of the Technical File podcast. Appreciate you for tuning in and making Locked On Bucks your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, as well as on YouTube. And today's episode is all about tonight's game against the Hawks, a Milwaukee Bucks team that has been saying that, hey, we want to try to compete for a play-in spot. On today's full show with myself and Justin, I talked about how I don't think that play-in should necessarily be the goal for this team going forward for the last 22 games, but rather more of an evaluation sense for this team of who do we have, what do we need, what can work, so on and so forth. But we know what this Bucks team, the goal, what they're aiming for, okay? And they're aiming for a play-in spot. And because that is their goal and that is their aim, although, as I said, personally, I don't think that should be, but because it is, this is a must-win game for the Bucks because the Milwaukee Bucks currently are 4 games back. They set the 11 seed right now. The Hawks are tied with the Hornets for the 10 seed. So if the Bucks win this game against the Hawks, they would gain a full game on the Hawks and they would win the season series because the Hawks and the Bucks only played 3 times this season. And they've already had a matchup in which the Bucks won. They have one more matchup after this game, the 14th of March. So this game could already decide who gets the tiebreaker. And in this race, you kind of need as many tiebreakers as you can because the Bucks also have the tiebreaker against the against the Hornets, which helps in their play-in chase here. So the last time we saw the Hawks, it was MLK Day. The Bucks won that game by 2 points, 112-110, and Giannis led the way for the Bucks in that game. He had 21 points, 17 rebounds. He had 6 assists in that game, but that was also the game where Nickeil Alexander-Walker, he was hot from the field, had 32 points, while Jalen Johnson had 28 and 16 himself. And if you remember during that game against the Hawks, the first half, the Hawks could not hit anything. I believe they missed their first 20 3-point attempts. They were 1 of 22 from 3 in that first half. It was honestly, and by the numbers, one of the worst shooting halves in the history of the Atlanta Hawks franchise. But they came back, made it a game. They were up at one point before the Bucks were able to pull away and find a way to win that game by 2 points. So it's one of those games here where it's like, hey, last time it was close with some poor fluky shooting in the first half. So you got to bring your A game. And when you take a look at where these two teams are heading into tonight's game, the Hawks, they had 2 days off prior to this game. The Hawks have currently won 4 games in a row, 5 of their last 6. And during that 4-game win streak, they have defeated the Nets, the Wizards twice, and the Trailblazers. So you can look at that and be like, kind of a soft schedule. And for the Hawks side, I'm sure they're looking forward to playing the Bucks, while some might say, hey, if you beat the Bucks, that is what it is at this point. But this is a Bucks team that does have Giannis in the lineup, so the competition level should be a bit higher, especially with everything that the Bucks are playing for in this game. Jonathan Kuminga, he made his debut for the Hawks during that first game against the Wizards, and he has looked pretty good while on the court in that Hawks uniform. And it's fair to say, like I said, they've taken care of business. Not a demanding slate, but they have been doing what they need to do. And one of the things about Atlanta that I do want to highlight that they do really well is that they move the ball. They share the basketball. The Hawks actually rank first in the NBA in assists per game at 30.4. So you know they're going to move the ball. They're going to put pressure on the defense with that ball movement. And for the Bucks, well, the everydayers know where this team has been. Just watching them, the Bucks are currently on a brutal 3-game losing streak where they have lost by at least 23 points in each of those games. And when you look at the why behind it, it's a microcosm of the season, right? Because the thing that has been keeping the Bucks alive has been their offense. Okay. It's been offense. And over the last 3 games, the offense like abandoned them. It just has not been good. And the Bucks defense has been bad all season. Even during that 8-2 stretch that the Bucks went on, the defense was not good. So if the offense is not working for the Milwaukee Bucks, they don't really even have a defense to lean on. So like if they aren't if they aren't scoring against Atlanta tonight, it's pretty much curtains at this point. Like the Milwaukee Bucks defense is currently ranked 26th in the league. If you look at cleaning the glass, which does factor out garbage time, one of my favorite sites to go to for the stats. The last time the Milwaukee Bucks defense was ranked 26th or worst, it's been a while. It's been a while. You have to go back to the 2013-14 season, Giannis's rookie year, when they went 15-67. They had the 29th ranked defense in the league during that time period. Some more to look at ahead of tonight's game, including the injury report, some keys to the game tonight, some players to watch, and just some general questions I have about this team, about this matchup, and about what we're going to see in the rotation. We'll get into all that right after this. It's tax time. Before a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes, it's a lot. You try to book an appointment and it's normally not the most convenient. You'd be sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really understand your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert and get your documents uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every single dollar that you deserve while you get a real-time notifications as you go on about your day. It is the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing that your taxes are being handled correctly. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and to book your appointment. Today's episode is also brought to you by Gametime, because there is nothing like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment, getting tickets, that part, it ain't always been so simple. And that's why Gametime has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, and that is with the fans. I recently looked at Gametime, took a look at these Bucks games tonight against the Hawks. With everything that's at stake, even with the team playing as it has been, you can get into this game pretty cheap. I love the fact that you can see the all-in price up front. There are no surprise fees at checkout, and I love being able to see the view from my seat. So before I buy, I can understand exactly what it is I'm going to see when I get into the arena. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. All right, taking a look at the injury report for this Bucks-Hawks matchup tonight in Milwaukee, an 8:30 tip-off time in Milwaukee, an ESPN game, which is part of why it's the late game tonight. 8:30 tip-off is tough. That's tough. But the injury report is pretty clean for both teams. Taurean Prince is still out with the Bucks, as he has been for most of the season with the neck injury after having neck surgery. And the Hawks have a clean bill of health. They are fully healthy with all of their main rotation players heading into this game. And with this game here, some of the keys for success for the Bucks, the keys have been the same for a lot of these games. And especially against this Hawks team, you have to take care of the ball, okay? The Bucks have to take care of the ball. The Hawks have averaged 9.4 steals per game this season, which is fifth best among NBA teams. Fifth best. They also average 19.8 points off turnovers per game, which is fifth best in the league as well. This season, the Hawks are 20-9 when they force 10 or more steals this season, which is 10th best among all NBA teams. Meanwhile, here you have the Bucks, who are 17th in turnover percentage, 14.7%. And turnover percentage, all that means is that 14.7% of all Bucks possessions end in a turnover. It's been even worse since the team came back from All-Star break. It's now up to 15.5%, which is 22nd in the league. So the Bucks have to take care of the ball. You do not want to get the Hawks out and running and you ending possessions and then you having to play against set defenses more often than not. Got to take care of the ball. On the other side of things, as I mentioned before, the Bucks offense has to wake up. That has been the major thing sustaining them throughout the entire season. The effective field goal percentage for this team has been like top 5 all season. They just have not taken enough shots. And again, everything else has just been poor, mediocre to poor for this team. But the Milwaukee Bucks are actually 24-10 this season when they score 110 or more points this season, which happens to be 10th best amongst all NBA teams. The Bucks are also 11-3 when they score 15 or more second chance points this season, which is second best in the league, which is why it's so criminal that this team just has not been one of the top offensive rebounding teams or a team that makes that an emphasis. We did hear, from Darvin Ham when he coached that game against the Thunder right before All-Star break, that a renewed focus for this team was unleashing guys and letting them go ahead and go after these offensive rebounds. Well, hey, it's an opportunity to do so in this game as well, especially since the Hawks aren't one of the top teams at keeping, opposing teams off the offensive glass, but they're not the worst either. They come in right at 16th, so kind of middle of the pack for the Hawks. But if the Bucks can find ways to get those extra possessions, especially with their offense just needing to wake up, it'll be really, really good for this team. The Hawks are 1-19 this season when they allow their opponent to shoot 50% or better from the field, which is 5th lowest in the league. And like I mentioned, this last 3-game slump for the Bucks, the offense has been dormant. It has been stalled. Over this 3-game slump, the Bucks have had the 28th ranked defense, a 97.1 offensive rating. Just trash. That's terrible. And they also have had a 48.5% effective field goal percentage, which ranks 27th in the league. That's tough. That is tough for them, especially when you look at the full season numbers and you see that the Bucks' effective field goal percentage all season, even including the slump, has been 56.9, good for 3rd in the league. It just goes to show how much of a slump that this team has been on during this last 3-game stretch here where the offense has completely stalled. The Bucks also haven't been grabbing as many offensive rebounds during this stretch as they were during that 8-2 run they had there. So players to watch in this game, I think Giannis is a big one. The first game he had back against Boston, he admitted he had some rust. You could see that on him. So I just want to see how he continues to play while he's knocking that rust off his game, getting back into playing condition, and also curious to see what the minutes look like because we know he's on a minutes restriction. He only played 25 minutes against Boston, but I'm not even sure if that was the minutes restriction or if the game was just out of hand. So it was like, hey, let's just call it one right here. Other guys to watch in this game, Kevin Porter Jr., Ryan Rollins, because the last game was an adjustment for them. And you could tell by watching it, Kevin Porter Jr. looked more tentative when it came to shooting the ball. You saw him trying to overthink at times. It appeared at least when he's trying to find Giannis or trying to find guys that are taking a shot and leads to a turnover. Ryan Rollins adjusting to coming off the bench, which, I mean, he has in a handful of games so far this season, I believe 5 or 6 at this point. But they just didn't look great. Against Boston, you had KPJ with 8 points on 3 of 6 shooting, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 turnovers, 3 steals in 31 minutes. In the month of February, KPJ was averaging 20.8 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 8.1 assists, 2.4 turnovers, 2.5 steals, in about 33.5 minutes per game. Rollins against Boston, 5 points, 2 of 11 from the field, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, 2 steals, in 24 minutes of play. And in the month of February, Rollins was coming in at 20.9 points per game, 4.9 rebounds per game, 5.3 assists per game, 4.1 turnovers per game. we don't want that to continue. That part that can trend down. We don't need 4 turnovers a game, plus a steal in about 34.9 minutes per game. And it's not that I'm saying that these two have to hit those numbers, but to know they can play better than what we saw against Boston, even while they're adjusting, we need that from them. The Bucks need those two guards to be good because Giannis ain't gonna be able to do it all on his own, especially while he's on a minutes restriction and trying to get his legs underneath him. So you need that backcourt, even if they're not starting together. Those two players are so important to this team. Also really curious about AJ Green in this one. Only shot the ball 3 times against Boston, but the last time out against the Hawks, he went 6 of 12 during that game from 3. So hopefully he can get those up in this game. I'm also just really curious to see if the Bucks are going to roll out that same starting 5 that we saw against Boston with Kevin Porter Jr., AJ Green, Ousmane Dieng, Giannis, and Miles Turner. And also, will Kuz be another coach's decision? Did not play. Curious to see what the rotation looks like. Are the Bucks going to go 10-11 deep, or was that a thing just because it was the second night of a back-to-back? Looking forward to having those questions answered tonight against Atlanta in Fiserv Forum, 8:30 tip-off time, Central Time. The game is on ESPN, but also available on FanDuel. And, of course, you can check out Justin Garcia, host of Locked On Bucks, as well on the radio side of things. And before we wrap, if you were just interested, hey, are there any other games to keep an eye on? Knowing the Bucks are trying to go for this play-in spot. Hornets Celtics tonight at 6:30. So that game still might be finishing up when the Bucks tip off, but you should have an answer to how that one turns out into like the first quarter or so of this Bucks game. So appreciate you for tuning in to this bonus episode of Locked On Bucks. Make sure that you check out the Everydayer Club. It's $5 a month, $50 a year. Link is in the description. And with that, you get Locked On Bucks ad-free plus access to a members-only Discord. And make sure that you keep locked into Locked On Bucks. We will have a post-game show. There will be a live one right after the game on the YouTube side of things, and then post it with Brandon and Butchie holding that down. And then we'll have another post-game with myself and either Justin or Frank, or maybe just we'll figure out the who. But there will be another one in your feed on Thursday. So appreciate you for tuning in to Locked On Bucks, and I'll catch you later.